Okay, so one of the things I wanted to show you, another game that I like to use, once you're moving into that older bracket and they're starting to learn their prefixes and their suffixes, is this game. It's called Caesar Pleasers. It's from that same company. And what I'll do is, as we learn them, you can just do this with note cards too. As you learn your roots, your suffixes, here's another root. I like this one because they're color coded, but you can make your own the same way. There's one of your prefixes. Alright, let's see. So I would lay these all out on the table, right? I usually do about 16 at a time. And then we take turns in the small group, like who can make the biggest word. You get a bonus if you can make a 3-syllable word. And what you're doing by doing this, well, one, we're reinforcing, because kids never remember what these prefixes and suffixes mean. At least the kids that I work with don't remember them year to year. And so this is a reinforcement. What does pre mean? Pre means before. Okay. What do we know? The shuns. How do we say these? How do we say these words? Shun. What do the shuns say? It makes the word a noun. We know that. Able and able means what? Able to. Alright, so let's think. We know con means together. So let's think. What do you think we could put together? They might come up with convert. They might come up with constructible. They might come up with construction. And so you practice sounding them out. But what this does is it's training them, because you're going to teach them to pencil break bigger words. You're training them to see these prefixes and suffixes, right? By putting these together, it's like we're training their brains to see what those suffixes are. And then with repetition, a lot of repetition, maybe we actually start to figure out what words mean by looking at those. So that's hard, but maybe that's because I haven't, maybe the population that I work with doesn't remember it. I'm not really sure, but to me that's been hard for kids to master. So let's see if we have some of our prefixes. These are big, ginormous words. But what do we know? What do we know about T-I-O-N? T-I-O-N, let's pencil break it. What do we know it says? Shun. Do you see a prefix or a prefix that we recognize over here? Right. What do we know? How do we say that? Pre. You'll get per a lot for kids with more significant learning. P-R-E, pre. So we know this is pre, we know this is shun, so we just have to figure out the middle. We know it's closed. Sump. Presumption. Presumption. Okay? Same thing, because what you'll see kids do is they'll go presum, and then they just guess. They just guess after the second syllable if reading's hard for them. So this makes their brain, it makes them pay attention to each syllable. Alright, let's break this word. What do we know? What do we know about that? We know it says shun. I don't know where to break it here. Do you recognize any of that? I don't either. So, find your vowels. Make a bridge. By the time you're doing words this big, you don't need to do the make a bridge anymore because they already know it. Label it. Alright, where should we break it? Breaks right here. We need to do more. There's another vowel. VCV, where should we try it first? Alright, let's try it. So we know it's closed. Right now that's open, open, and then our shun. Now I just call it the shun, so that they remember that's how you say it. Let's sound it out. Seg. Re. Why is it re? Because it's open, right? Ga. You know it's open, so is it going to be ga or gay? Gay. Seg. Re. Gay. Shun. Segregation. Okay? Try it up here. What do we know? What do we know about the shuns? Break it. See a prefix or prefix that you recognize, right? Enter is one of the ones they learn early on. It means between. So we know this part. How do we say it? Enter. We know this part, shun. What's this middle part? If you need to. If you're not there, if you need to. They might recognize connect. If they don't, break it. Probably seen a pattern at this point. Whenever there's two consonants, it typically breaks in between those two consonants. I mean, two of the same consonants. It typically breaks, and it's because what I explained to you before. It makes both of those, that makes that vowel beforehand stay short. All right, so now we've broken it. So enter, con, neck, shun. And then you've broken them up. Okay, same thing. I'll just do one more. I won't do both of these. Alright, what do we know? We know shun. You see anything up here? We know D. D is one of the early ones kids learn. Prefix D. Alright, what should we do with this middle? Let's just check. Let's do our vowels. What do we know? Alright. Open, and the shun. So how would we say it? Degradation. Degradation. Well, that was a little tricky, right? Degradation. They're not going to know degradation. So if it doesn't sound like something they recognize, you can teach them this one. Because D is not always by itself. Sometimes the DE does go with this consonant. Degradation. That's probably not a word they're going to recognize. That's a really big word. They might hear it in science. But you're giving them the skills to get in the ballpark. And what we're doing is we're making them pay attention to each part of the word. That's that first step in phonological awareness, hearing all the sounds, right? And then we're paying attention to the syllables. So we're seeing each part of the word. And then as they get older, you're teaching them what these different prefixes and suffixes mean. That's really hard. That's what this game would be good for. Is because it says it right on there. It helps you remember too as the teacher if you're not sure. And do those. And then if you ever get progressed far enough, there's one more game called this one. And this is where I'm headed with a few of my kids are starting to get what those all are. Now this is it's like a go fish game, but it's really complicated, so I'm not going to teach it to you that way. Alright, do you see the pieces of the word? Right. What do we know? What do we know chron means? Time. Logi means study of. So we know chron and we know study, so what do you think chronology is? Study of time? Pretty close. Same thing. Getting them. First I just use it. How do we pronounce it? And I will have already taught them that this is pronounced as us. So how do you think how would we do that? What do you see? And getting them, basically we're having them again, seeing those syllables. So when they see a big long word like this, they just don't say mountain, and just randomly guess the end of it. Does that make sense? This is like really high level. It takes me a long time to get them there because the syllables take a long time. Seeing the parts of the word take a long time. Learning and remembering the roots takes a long time, and a lot of repetition. But ultimately, the whole point of teaching that would be then how I teach the kids. So we look like here. Alright, I'm not sure what it means, like in the word. What do I know? I see enter. Enter means what? Between. Between connection. Interconnection, between connections. Right. That's how you're supposed to teach them then. How to use the word. I teach them look in the word and then look around the word using your context clues. That's hard because there's so many prefixes. It's hard to get them to know that. So I have a root wall in my room, and we go, what's that mean? If we look on the wall, and it's just a lot of repetition to get it. But again, it's also teaching you to pay attention to those syllables.